The restaurant was full of light music and laughter. Rich people sat at polished tables dressed in shiny clothes, talking loudly. It was one of the most expensive restaurants in New York. Among the busy waiters moving quickly was Maya, a young black woman in her 20s. She wore a clean black uniform and carried plates with care. Her steps were soft, her smile polite, and her eyes always alert. Maya had been working there for 3 months. She was quiet, kind, and always on time. Most people didn't know much about her. They thought she was just another server. But Maya was different. That evening, a group of 4 rich businessmen entered the restaurant. They were well known. One of them was Mr. Dalton, a powerful CEO with silver hair and sharp eyes. The manager rushed to greet them. Maya was asked to serve their table. She walked over with confidence, holding the menu. "Good evening, gentlemen," she said with a gentle smile. They barely looked at her. One of them waved his hand. "Just bring us the wine list." Maya nodded and walked away. The men continued, talking loudly. After a few minutes, Mr. Dalton's phone rang. He looked at the screen and answered. The voice on the other side spoke in Mandarin Chinese, fast and serious. Mr. Dalton tried to respond, but struggled. Yes. No. Wait," he mumbled, frustrated. The man on the phone kept speaking. Everyone at the table grew silent. Mr. Dalton's face turned red. Other guests started to look over. Suddenly, Maya stepped forward. She spoke softly but clearly, in perfect Mandarin. "Hello, sir. Mr. Dalton is in a meeting. May I help translate?" The voice on the phone paused, then continued. Maya nodded as she listened. She answered fluently, her words calm and respectful. The men at the table stared at her, shocked. The call ended. Maya gently handed the phone back to Mr. Dalton and bowed slightly, like she had seen in Chinese culture. "There is a problem with the factory shipment," she said simply. For a few seconds, there was silence. One of the businessmen chuckled nervously. "Wait, did you just speak Chinese?" Maya smiled. "Yes, sir." Mr. Dalton did not smile. His eyes narrowed. "Where did you learn that?" he asked coldly. "I was raised in Beijing. My mother is Chinese," she replied. The men exchanged looks. Some laughed awkwardly. One whispered, "This is crazy." Maya felt the mood change. Something was wrong. "I hope I didn't overstep," she said politely. Mr. Dalton looked at her with hard eyes. "Get me the wine." Maya bowed her head and walked away. The other waiters had seen everything. In the kitchen, one whispered, "Did you see that? Maya speaks Chinese." Another laughed. "She just saved the CEO. He should thank her." But Maya didn't feel proud. She felt something cold in the air. Mr. Dalton hadn't looked thankful. He looked angry. That night, after her shift, Maya walked home in the cold wind. Her small apartment was quiet. She made tea and sat by the window. Her hands trembled slightly. She had only tried to help. The next morning, Maya arrived at the restaurant at 8 a.m., like always. She wore her uniform and tied her hair neatly, but something was wrong. The manager stood at the front with a serious face. "Maya, can I talk to you?" he said. She followed him to the office. "I'm sorry, Maya," he said quickly. "You're being let go." Maya blinked. "What? Why?" He looked down. "No explanation, it's from the top. I was told to tell you not to return." Her voice shook. "Is it because of what happened?" "Last night." The manager said nothing. Maya felt her chest tighten. Her eyes burned, but she refused to cry. She picked up her things slowly. The other staff watched silently. No one said a word. As she stepped outside, the cold air hit her like a slap. She stood on the sidewalk, alone. One moment, She was a waitress, then a translator, then nothing. But deep in her heart, a small fire began to burn. They didn't know who she really was. Not yet. End of part 1. Would you like me to continue with part 2? Whispers behind her back? Oh, you said? Part 2 ChatGPT said, here is part 2. Whispers behind her back. Written in third person, 800 words. Emotional and engaging using simple English. Part 2. Whispers behind her back. After Maya was fired, the restaurant felt different. People whispered when her name was mentioned. Some felt bad, others just gossiped. Did you hear? Maya got fired for speaking Chinese, one waiter whispered. Another replied, I heard she embarrassed Mr. Dalton. Rich people don't like surprises. No one knew she could speak Mandarin, someone added. Maybe she was pretending all along. The manager told everyone to stop talking, but the whispers continued. In her small apartment, Maya sat by the window, holding a warm cup of tea. She stared outside, watching people walk by. Her heart was heavy, but her face stayed calm. She replayed the moment again and again in her mind. Mr. Dalton's cold eyes, his silence, the manager's words. It's from the top. Why had her kindness turned into punishment? A glimpse of her past. That night, Maya opened an old wooden box. Inside were pictures, letters, and memories. She pulled out a photo, a younger Maya standing next to an older Chinese woman with kind eyes. They were in Beijing, smiling in a small garden. Her adoptive mother, Mei Lin, had raised her with love and care. Maya had learned Mandarin before she spoke English. She grew up eating dumplings, reading Chinese poems, and celebrating Lunar New Year. But when she moved back to America at age 16, things changed. People didn't understand her background. They only saw her skin. They didn't believe a black girl could speak Chinese fluently, not unless she had something to prove. Maya had learned to stay quiet. She had hidden her talent for years, just to avoid questions and doubt. She never expected one small moment to cost her everything. Searching for work again. Over the next few days, Maya looked for a new job. She wore her best clothes and visited coffee shops, bakeries, and other restaurants. She filled out forms and smiled through interviews. But something felt off. One cafe manager looked at her resume and said, "Why were you fired from such a high-end place?" She answered honestly, "I spoke Mandarin to help a customer." He raised an eyebrow. "You speak Chinese?" Maya nodded. "Fluently." He chuckled. "Interesting, but we're looking for someone more predictable." She walked out slowly, holding back tears. Every rejection felt heavier. A new door. Opens one evening. Maya visited a small community center near her apartment. Children were running around, laughing. There was a sign on the door. Looking for volunteer language tutors. She stepped inside and met a kind woman named Miss Clara who ran the place. "I'd like to help," Maya said. Miss Clara smiled. "What language do you speak?" "Mandarin," Maya replied softly. Miss Clara's eyes lit up. "We've been looking for someone like you." The next week, Maya began teaching kids how to say hello, thank you, and simple sentences in Chinese. The children loved her. "Miss Maya, how do you say cookie in Chinese?" a boy asked. She laughed. "Bing Gan." The room filled with laughter and joy. Someone was listening. One afternoon, as Maya was teaching, a man sat quietly at the back of the room. He had a notebook and glasses. He wasn't a parent. After the class, he walked up to her. "My name is Daniel. I'm a journalist," he said kindly. "I heard what happened at your restaurant." Maya tensed. "I don't want trouble." "I understand," he said. "But your story, it matters. A lot of people would want to hear it." Maya shook her head. "People don't care. They see a black girl speaking Chinese and they get confused or angry. Daniel looked serious. Exactly. That's why this story matters. Maya thought for a moment. Her voice had been silent for so long. Maybe it was time to speak. Maya stood in front of the mirror. For the first time in a long time, she didn't see just a waitress. She saw someone stronger, someone deeper, someone with a voice. After her, talk with Daniel, the journalist. Her heart was full of questions. Should she tell her story? Would anyone even care? But something inside her whispered, "You've hidden for too long," recording the truth. A few days later, Maya met Daniel again in a small coffee shop. He set up a tiny camera on the table. Nothing fancy, just 2 cups of tea, a camera, and truth. "I'll start recording when you're ready," Daniel said. Maya took a deep breath. Then she began. "I was adopted at 3 years old. My mother is Chinese. I grew up in Beijing until I was 16. Mandarin is my first language." Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled. "When I moved to America, people didn't understand me. Some laughed. Some didn't believe me. I stopped speaking Chinese in public. I just wanted to fit in." Daniel listened carefully, taking notes. "Then that night at the restaurant, I tried to help. I spoke Mandarin because Mr. Dalton was in trouble. But instead of saying thank you, I got fired the next day." Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't stop. "I didn't lose a job. I lost respect. But I won't stay silent anymore." Daniel turned off the camera. "That was powerful," he said. Maya smiled, a little braver than before. The story goes online. 2 days later, Daniel uploaded the video on his blog and social media with the title, "The Waitress Who Spoke Mandarin, a story about race, talent, and truth." The video was simple, just Maya telling her story. But something about it touched people. At first, it got a few views, then a few hundred, then thousands. People began to comment, "I cried watching this. She's amazing. Why do we judge people so quickly? She didn't deserve this." Famous people shared the video, journalists, teachers, even actors. By the next day, Maya's name was trending. She was shocked. She sat in her apartment, watching the numbers rise on her phone. Her face was everywhere, on news sites. Maya stood backstage, her hands cold and sweaty. Bright lights shone through the curtain. She could hear the audience laughing, clapping, waiting. She looked down at her simple dress. Nothing fancy, just clean, comfortable, and true to her. She took a deep breath and whispered, "You've come this far. Don't stop now." Then she heard his voice, Chris Taylor, loud, confident, laughing at his own joke. "And now let's welcome the famous waitress who shocked the world by answering a phone in Chinese. Yes, you heard me right. A phone call in Chinese. Give it up for Maya Carter." The audience clapped. Some laughed. Maya stepped out. The interview begins. Chris stood to greet her, but his smile was more like a smirk. "So, Maya," he began, leaning back in his chair, "you speak Chinese. That's not something we see every day." Maya smiled calmly. "I do. I was raised in China until I was 16. Chris raised an eyebrow. "Really? You don't look Chinese." A few people in the audience chuckled. Maya's smile faded just a little. "I never said I was Chinese. I said I was raised in China." He laughed again. Okay, but come on. A black girl speaking Mandarin? That's like finding a cat that barks." The crowd laughed louder this time. Maya didn't flinch. She looked straight at him. "It's not funny when someone's life experience is treated like a joke." The laughter stopped. "She turns the tables." Chris blinked. "Oh, come on, it's just a little fun." Maya leaned forward. "When I got fired, no one asked about my story. They just assumed I did something wrong. I used a skill to help someone and I was punished for it." Chris waved a hand. "You were working in a fancy place. Maybe they didn't like surprises. Or maybe they didn't like that I didn't fit the picture they had in their mind, Maya replied. The crowd grew quiet. She continued, "We talk a lot about freedom, about success, but we don't talk about how we limit people with our own beliefs." Chris sat back, less confident now. Millions are watching. In homes across the country, people sat glued to their screens. Social media exploded with clips from the show. This girl just shut Chris Taylor down on his own stage. Powerful words. She's not just brave, she's brilliant. I came for laughs, but I'm leaving with respect. Maya wasn't trying to be a star. She was just telling the truth. But truth has a way of shining. The moment that changed everything. Chris tried to regain control. "So, what's next for you? More waitressing? Or will you become a language coach?" he joked. Maya looked directly at him. "I don't need your permission to dream bigger. I've already started working on something that matters. Helping kids learn languages, breaking old ideas, and reminding people that talent doesn't come with a certain skin color." Silence. Then one person clapped. Then more. Soon the entire audience stood, clapping and cheering. Chris looked uncomfortable, but it didn't matter anymore. The show wasn't about him now, it was about her. After the show backstage, Maya sat quietly with a bottle of water. Her hands were still trembling, but she felt light, like she had finally let go of something heavy. Daniel, the journalist, met her there. He smiled wide. "You just shook the whole country, Maya," he said. "I just told the truth." She replied. He nodded. "That's what makes it powerful." Maya sat at home the morning after the interview, holding a warm cup of tea. Her phone buzzed non-stop. Messages, calls, emails, so many voices, all talking about the same thing, her. She had gone on national television and stood up for herself, and now the world had something to say. From laughter to respect, at first, people had tuned into the business hour to laugh, just like they always did. Chris Taylor was known for mocking guests and getting away with it, but this time, the laughter didn't last. Instead of breaking under pressure, Maya had stayed calm. Instead of fighting back with anger, she spoke with truth, and people noticed. She's got class. Finally, someone who doesn't try to be loud to be heard. She didn't raise her voice, but she raised the bar. Within 24 hours, the interview was shared over 30 million times online. Celebrities, teachers, authors, and even politicians started posting about her. Maya had become a symbol for strength, respect, and quiet power. Her old boss reacts back at the restaurant. The owner paced in his office. His business was getting flooded with bad reviews online. They fired a multilingual waitress for helping a customer? This place doesn't deserve her. Customers began canceling reservations. The manager looked worried. "Sir, should we post an apology?" The owner hesitated. "It's too late. Everyone's already taken her side." And he was right. The world wasn't asking Maya to explain herself anymore. The world was asking why someone like her was treated so badly in the first place. A surprise offer later that week, Maya received an unexpected call. It was from the University of Language and Culture, one of the top schools in the country. "We saw your interview," the woman on the phone said. "We're offering you a full scholarship to complete your degree. In linguistics or global studies, you have something rare, Maya, real-life experience, and a voice people want to hear." Maya was speechless. "But I never finished college," she whispered. "We know," the woman said kindly. "That's why we're helping you start again. If you're ready." Maya stared at the wall, heart pounding. She never thought this door could open. Daniel's article goes viral. Meanwhile, Daniel the journalist published a full article titled, "The Girl Who Spoke Mandarin and Spoke Back to the World." In the article, he shared more of Maya's story, her adoption, her childhood in China, her struggle to belong, and her strength. The article touched even more people than the video, and this time, Maya wasn't just the girl who got fired. She was a voice, of change. Kids around the country start learning Chinese. One day, Maya opened her inbox and saw dozens of messages from parents and teachers. "My daughter saw your interview. She wants to learn Mandarin now. Our school is starting a new language program. You inspired us. You made my students feel proud of their culture." Maya couldn't stop smiling. She had always believed that languages bring people together. Now she was seeing it happen, not in a small way, in a big, loud, beautiful way. A simple life, a big message. Even with all the attention, Maya didn't change much. She still took long walks in the park. She still helped neighbors with their groceries. She still smiled at strangers and spoke kindly, but now when people passed her on the street, they often stopped. "Are you Maya? From the show?" She would nod. "Thank you," they would say, "for speaking up." And each time, she would answer with the same words. "We all have a voice. We just need to believe in it." Maya thought things had already reached their highest point. She had gone viral, received a scholarship, and inspired millions. Life felt like a dream she had never dared to dream. But something bigger was waiting. One afternoon, as she checked her emails, a message caught her eye. It had a golden logo on top, and one line that made her heart stop. "You are officially invited to speak at the Global Business Summit in New York." A bigger stage. The Global Business Summit was no small event. It was one of the biggest gatherings of leaders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and changemakers from all over the world. The stage was watched by millions. Important people spoke there, people with power, money, and fame. Maya read the email again. Was it a mistake? She scrolled down and saw the message from the event organizer. "Maya, your story has become a symbol of courage and change. We believe your voice deserves to be heard on the biggest stage. We would be honored to have you speak." She sat there, silent. The same girl who used to serve coffee with a smile, the same girl who was fired for helping a customer, was now being invited to stand before the world and speak. Nervous but ready, the days passed quickly. Maya practiced her speech every night. Her hands trembled the first few times. "What if I mess up?" she asked Daniel, who had become a close friend. Daniel smiled. "Then you get back up, just like you always do." Maya smiled, but deep down she was still scared. She didn't come from a rich background. She didn't have a famous name. She didn't wear expensive clothes, but she had something those people didn't. She had lived the truth. The big day, the hall was huge. Bright lights, giant screens, hundreds of cameras, thousands of seats. People from more than 50 countries had gathered. Backstage, Maya felt her heart pounding. A woman gave her a microphone and whispered, "You're next." She closed her eyes and breathed deeply. Then the host's voice echoed through the room. "Please welcome the woman whose quiet strength and powerful message shook the nation, Maya Carter." Her speech, Maya stepped out. The room fell silent. She stood straight, took a breath, and began. "A few months ago, I was working as a waitress. I loved my job. I didn't have much, but I had pride. Then one day, I spoke a different language to help a customer. And for that, I lost my job. People laughed. I was hurt, but I didn't fight back with anger. I fought with truth." She looked around the room. "They said I didn't belong, but I do. And so do millions of others who are told they're not enough, not rich enough, not light-skinned enough, not the right kind of smart. But here's the truth. Talent comes in all colors. Strength comes in quiet voices. And sometimes the smallest action, like answering a phone, can start the loudest change. Silence. Then someone clapped. Then more. Then everyone. Worldwide impact. The video of Maya's speech went viral in less than an hour. It played on news channels, websites, and social media pages around the globe. A new voice for a new generation. She didn't just speak, she moved the world. This is how real change